Emma's footsteps echoed through the empty halls of the Victorian mansion, the sound swallowed by the suffocating silence that enveloped her. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories. She paused in the grand foyer, her eyes drawn to the intricate patterns of the wallpaper, feeling as if the walls themselves were watching her. The house, with its tall windows and shadowed corners, felt alive, almost breathing in sync with her. Emma had inherited the mansion from her grandmother, a woman she barely knew. As a recent college graduate with nowhere else to go, she decided to move in, hoping the change of scenery would help her figure out her next steps in life. The first few days were uneventful, filled with unpacking boxes and exploring the vast rooms. But as the initial excitement wore off, a creeping unease began to settle in. It started one evening while Emma was reading in the library. The room was dimly lit by a single lamp, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The soft rustle of pages was the only sound until she heard it, a faint whisper, like a breath of wind brushing past her ear. She glanced up, heart pounding, but saw nothing. The house was old. It must be settling, she reassured herself. But the whispers grew more frequent. At night, lying in bed, Emma would hear soft, indistinct voices coming from the walls. They were too quiet to understand, but unmistakably human. She pressed her ear to the wall, trying to catch the words, but they slipped away like smoke. As days turned into weeks, the whispers became more persistent, almost conversational. They filled the silence of the house, seeping into Emma's thoughts. She started to feel watched, the sensation of unseen eyes following her every move. The whispers seemed to follow her from room to room, growing louder in certain areas of the house, particularly in the old master bedroom. Determined to uncover the source of the whispers, Emma spent hours researching the house's history. She discovered that it had been built in the late 1800s and had passed through several owners, some of whom met tragic ends. There were rumors of the house being cursed, but Emma dismissed them as superstitions. One rainy afternoon, as she was cleaning the master bedroom, she noticed something odd about the wall behind the bed. The wallpaper seemed newer, different from the rest of the room. She carefully peeled it back, revealing a small door hidden underneath. With trembling hands, she opened the door, uncovering a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. Emma grabbed a flashlight and descended the creaky stairs. The air grew colder, and the smell of dampness and decay intensified. At the bottom, she found herself in a small windowless room. The walls were covered in old, faded photographs and newspaper clippings. In the center of the room stood an antique writing desk, its surface covered in dust. She rifled through the papers, discovering journals and letters from the house's previous owners. They all spoke of hearing whispers, of feeling watched, and of a presence that grew stronger over time. Emma's heart raced as she realized she was not alone in her experiences. The whispers were real, and they had driven people to madness. As Emma read through the journals, the whispers grew louder, almost as if they were reacting to her discovery. She learned that her grandmother had also heard the whispers. The final entry in her grandmother's journal revealed a chilling truth. The house was a gateway, a bridge between the living and the dead. The spirits trapped within its walls were trying to communicate, to tell their stories, but something malevolent was keeping them trapped. Emma felt a sudden, intense chill. The flashlight flickered, and the room plunged into darkness. The whispers surged around her, louder and more desperate than ever. She felt hands, cold and ghostly, brush against her skin. Panic gripped her as she stumbled up the stairs, slamming the door behind her. The next few days were a blur of fear and sleepless nights. The whispers became aggressive, angry. Objects in the house started to move on their own, doors slamming shut, furniture toppling over. Emma knew she had to do something to appease the spirits or risk losing her sanity. She gathered supplies to perform a seance, hoping to communicate with the spirits directly. On a stormy night, she sat in the center of the grand foyer, surrounded by candles and the journals of the previous owners. She closed her eyes and called out to the spirits, asking them to show themselves. The air grew icy, and the whispers coalesced into a cacophony of voices. Through the din, a single voice rose above the others, deep, menacing, and filled with rage. The candles flickered violently as a shadowy figure materialized before her, its eyes glowing with malevolence. The spirit revealed itself as the original owner of the house, a man who had dabbled in dark magic, seeking eternal life. His experiments had trapped the souls of the dead within the walls, using their energy to prolong his own existence. He was the source of the whispers, the tormentor of all who had lived in the house. Emma's heart pounded as the spirit advanced, its form shifting and twisting in the flickering light. She knew she had to act quickly. Remembering her grandmother's journal, she recited an incantation she had found, hoping to break the curse and free the trapped souls. The spirit screamed in fury, sound reverberating through the house. The walls shook, and the whispers grew to a deafening roar. Emma continued to chant, her voice steady despite the terror gripping her heart. The spirit lashed out, but an invisible barrier seemed to protect her. With one final, desperate shout, Emma completed the incantation. The spirit let out a howl of agony and began to dissolve, its form disintegrating into a cloud of dark mist. The whispers ceased, and an eerie silence fell over the house. In the aftermath, the house felt different, lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. Emma walked through the halls, feeling the warmth of the sun streaming through the windows for the first time. The oppressive atmosphere had vanished, replaced by a sense of peace. Emma decided to stay in the house, turning it into a place of rest and reflection for herself and others who sought solace. She knew the spirits had finally found peace, their whispers silenced, their stories told. The mansion remained a part of her, a reminder of the unseen world that lay just beyond the veil of the ordinary. And every now and then, in the quiet of the night, Emma thought she could still hear the faintest echo of a whisper, not of torment, but of gratitude.